करो कुछ ऐसा देश का सम्मान बढ़ जाए, मरो तो ऐसा तिरंगे की शान बढ़ जाए। भरो पिचकारी ऐसे 3 रंगों की, तन पर पड़े तो हिंदुस्तान बन जाए, तन पर पड़े तो हिंदुस्तान बन जाए। A very good morning each and everyone present here. Respected principals sir, faculty members, staff members and all the dignitaries present here. I welcome you all to this absolute, wonderful, beautiful, auspicious day that brings together so many special people like you. सर्वप्रथम आप सभी को भारतीय संविधान दिवस की हार्दिक बधाई। I wish you all happy Constitution Day. My name is Khushbu Ravi Gajbie and today I have the pleasure to be the host of this event. Being born as an Indian is a blessing and Constitution Day is one such occasion to celebrate this blessing. On this auspicious day, our Constitution of India came into existence and gave our country to grow and prosper. Firstly, let me tell you the meaning of Constitution or संविधान. दर्जनों भाषा, सैकड़ों विधि, हजारों विधान हैं जो जोड़कर सबको साथ रखे, वो भारत का संविधान है, वो भारत का संविधान है। On 26 November 1949, our Indian Constitution was adopted and drafted. Constitution Day or संविधान दिवस is celebrated in India on 26 November every year to commemorate the adoption of the Indian Constitution of India. जिसने विधि का लिखा विधान, उसमें लिखा हर व्यक्ति का सम्मान। नमन है भीमराव अंबेडकर जी को, जिन्होंने लिखा भारत का संविधान, जिन्होंने लिखा भारत का संविधान। Now I request respected Principal Sir, PCE, Dr. S.A. Thale Sir, to florally welcome the Chief Guest, Mr. Vijay Shafikar Sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. V.N. Nanoti Sir, Director Engineering at HASS, to speak a few words on this auspicious day. Please, sir.
Honorable Chief Guest of today's function, an amazing, the renowned personality and going to be a very, very good learning experience for and a perfectly apt. Thank you to Dr. Sanjay Jain sir also for getting him here for this day. Mr. Vijay Shafikar sir, Principal of Prashanti College of Engineering, Dr. Thale, Vice Principal Dr. Asutkar, Coordinator of this event Dr. Dora Thompson ma'am, Deans, Associate Deans, Central Coordinators, Heads of the Departments and the dear student friends. A very good morning to all of you and my greetings on this Constitutional Day. And nice anchoring beta, nice, right? I mean, she says she started with like it is a blessing. Yes, we all have one common thing among us that we all are blessed to be born in this country. Janma janmanचं पुण्य लागतं भारत वर्षात जन्म घ्यायला असं म्हटलेलं आहे. So we all are born and then the solid state of affair is we don't realize that because most of us on this dais we are born after independence. तो वो realization नहीं है कहीं ना कहीं. So we feel like freedom is a right and we don't feel like freedom is our own responsibility. If you really want to enjoy the same freedom, if you really want to make this country a better place for all of us and for generations to come, if that is the case, the Constitution is to be followed, to be understood, to be known, to be mugged up for that matter. May it be an engineering college, may it be a medical college, we all need to understand. World's one of the biggest constitution, या विषय में बोलना नहीं कारण सर super experts हैं. So इस बात पे मैं बात नहीं करूँगा पर एक मौका मिला है तो बात कर रहा हूँ. Important point is किस इतने constitutions बन गए, बड़ी-बड़ी सभ्यताएं रही है, बड़े-बड़े संस्कृतियां रही, यूनान, इजिप्ट का मिस्र एंड रोम, पेरिस, रोम civilization ऐसा लगा कि ये तो हमेशा के लिए रहेगा, सारे टूट गए. So पंक्तियां दो याद आई, इसने भी कुछ शायरियां बोली थी, तो दो पंक्तियां मुझे भी इकबाल की याद आ रही है कि यूनानो मिस्र रोमा सब मिट गए जहां से, यूनानो मिस्र रोमा सब मिट गए जहां से, मगर अब तक बाकी है नामो निशान हमारा। कुछ बात है हम में कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी, कुछ बात है हम में कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी। सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे ज़मा हमारा, हस्ती मिटती नहीं। कुछ खास बात है, वो फिलॉसफी है, वो जज्बा है, वो देश प्रेम है, वो कुछ चीजें हम में है जो हमें मिटने नहीं दे रही। और उस जज्बे को सलाम। Salute to every single Indian who has contributed to in whatever field he has been working after independence to make this country a better place, to make this country more prosperous one, to make this country a platform to grow, to become a universal and world leader in education, in politics, in economics. We look forward for. हम विश्वगुरु थे, एजुकेशन में तो हम विश्वगुरु थे, तक्षशिला नालंदा होते ना, हम विश्वगुरु होते। And then every single person today, sorry to say that, जिसके पास 20-25 लाख है सोचता बेटे को सिंगापुर भेज दूं, और जिसके पास 50 लाख है वो सोचता है यूएस को भेज देता हूं। तो ती विश्वगुरु की धरोहर धीरे धीरे मिटते मिटते इस हद तक चली गई कि हम चाहते हैं, हम सोचते हैं कि यार फॉरेन भेजो, we have IITs, we have IIMs, but we as an educationist, we as a part and parcel of this country's the most important pillar, education, we really need to imbibe this spirit. Unknowingly इंजिनियरिंग कॉलेज मध्ये कुठलाही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडियाचा विषय येणार नाहीच मुळे कधी, और हम कोई सब्जेक्ट मॉरल साइंस और इथिक्स का रख ही नहीं सकते और देशभक्ति और हिस्ट्री पे रख ही नहीं सकते। इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हमारे आने वाली जनरेशन ये सब भूल जाए। I want to appeal on this platform, on this constitutional day, a small request to all of you. ये सब्जेक्ट नहीं आने वाले, but we want to make it a point. We all have to make it a point. Whatever subject we are teaching, maybe physics, chemistry, EDC, कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी, और कुछ भी पढ़ाता हूँ मैं, मेरे 60 मिनट के अंतर्गत मैं अपने 2-3 मिनट चुरा कर उनको ऐसी कहानियां सुना दूं कि वो देश प्रेम का जज्बा, वो देश के प्रति होने वाली मोहब्बत, वो सारी कुर्बानियां, all those sacrifices, all those stories of freedom fighters, all those scientists who have made the entire world proud. I want to find out those 2-3 minutes in every 60 minutes if I can find it out. The world is not made up of atoms and molecules, they say. The world is made up of stories. People just don't need food, shelter and clothing. They need stories also. They need literature, they need history, they need the motivating and inspiring stories. They want to know what and where we belong to. आजूबाजूला पाहून वाटतं की आपण याच्यातला भाग नाही. We have a rich heritage. So this is the day. I mean, these days, like, you feel so fresh. Any national festival, may it be 15th August, may it be 26th January, may it be this day, we really want to contribute to Mother India. कुछ तो उनके लिए भी करना पड़ेगा, वो जज्बा कामन रखना, इतनी शिद्दत, इतनी ताकत, इतनी हिम्मत, इतनी सोच के साथ हमको ये जज्बा कायम रखने की मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, मेरी नैतिक जवाबदारी कि मेरे 60 मिनट से 3 मिनट कम पढ़ाओ तो चलेगा, लेकिन एक छोटी सी कहानी कर एक स्पार्क उनके दिलों में जज्बा बढ़ा दूंगा ना, तो घर जाके वो त्याला घरी जाऊन वाचावं लागेल की अच्छा भगत सिंह असे होते, अच्छा लोकमान्य टिळक मॅथ्स में टॉपर थे। ये स्पार्क उनको जला दो। सेल्फ लर्निंग का जमाना है, इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ाना हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, वी आर पेड फॉर दैट, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि अगले आने वाली जनरेशन ये सब भूल जाए। On this day, I once again extend my heartfelt greetings to all of you and want you to remember and create that spark among the students so that they will be not only engineers, not only professional, they'll be competent humans, the responsible citizen of this global village. Every student passing out from my college is going to be a global employee, going to be a global entrepreneur. If he wants to be that, I want him to be proud of this country. I travel a lot. Traveling is my hobby. I've been traveling so many countries, and more I travel to most of the universities and most of the countries. I feel still more proud and thank myself that I have chosen workplace as a country, India. So that feeling of proud, please continue that. Imbibe them into the students and commit ourselves to the pursuit of excellence. That yes, this is my automatic within built-in responsibility to make my students, कंट्री जो दुनिया को जो ब्लेम करते हैं, जो गवर्नमेंट को ब्लेम करते हैं, जो जो पॉलिटिशियंस को ब्लेम करते हैं उनसे कंट्री बड़ी नहीं होती, कंट्री उनसे बड़ी होती जो देश से प्यार करते हैं। तो देश को प्यार करने वाली एक जनरेशन हमको पैदा करने की एक मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हमारे ऊपर है। उस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को याद दिलाते हुए मैं अपने 2 शब्दों को विराम देता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। ना पूछो हम कहाँ से है, क्या हमारी कहानी है। हमारी पहचान तो सिर्फ ये है कि हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं, हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं। With this sense of patriotism, I request our honorable principal sir, Dr. S.A. Dhale sir, to speak a few words.
A very good afternoon, all of you. Dignitaries on the dais, a very renowned person, Mr. Vijay Chafekar, the chief guest of today's program, and additional Director General. Today we have on the dais Director Engineering, Lokmanya Tilak Jan Kalyan Shikshan Samstha, Dr. Vivek Nanoti, the person who is instrumental in organizing this today's program, and to have such a nice chief guest among ourselves, Sanjay Jain sir, Vice Principal of the college, Dr. G.M. Asukar sir, Dora Thamson ma'am, who is the coordinator of the program, all deans, associate deans, senior faculty members, and my dear student friends. Today, we all should feel proud and patriotic to commemorate this 71 day of Indian Constitution on this 27 November. As we all are aware that in 2015 our own Prime Minister Narendra Modi had declared that this particular day, that is 26 November, to be to announce as a constitutional day, to adopt and to honor and to adopt the Constitution of the India. As we all are aware that the Constitution of India, and so many times our chairman in his own speech also said that this Constitution is the written longest Constitution of the entire world. So many world has come up with the Constitution, their Constitution failed, broken, but still our Constitution is there, and it is the longest in the entire world. Friend, the architect of this Constitution, who framed this Constitution, is Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and to celebrate 125th birthday of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar on this particular day, we are celebrating this particular Constitution Day. The Constitution of India gives us the India is a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. If you go through this word one by one, if you try to understand the meaning of one by one, the complete philosophy of the Constitution is lying in this preamble of the Constitution. And what this Constitution assured to the citizen? That it assured to the citizen the justice, equality, liberty and endurance to promote the fraternity among the Indians. So if you go and study this Constitution, the each and every single word speaks a volume about how this Constitution should have been given a thought, how much thought to be required to prepare this Constitution. And friend, we are very fortunate that we have taken birth in such a country where such Constitution is there, which assure our citizens for liberty, which assure our citizens for equality, which assured each and every citizen for justice. तो ऐसे देश में हम पैदा हुए हैं और हमने देखा है बहुत सारी लड़ाइयाँ भी हमने देखी है, हमने हमारे लोगों का जज्बा भी देखा है। वो कहते हैं ना, मैंने कहीं पढ़ा था, ना इज्जत दे ना अजमत दे, ना शोहरत दे ना दौलत दे, बस मेरे वतन पे मरने के वास्ते मुझे थोड़ी सी हिम्मत दे। सो ये आरजू होती है, ये हिम्मत होती है। और आरजू भी क्या, तो आरजू कुछ भी नहीं है, बस रख दे वतन मेरे कफन में। तो हमारा हर सैनिक ये कहता है कि मेरी इतनी ही आरजू है कि मैं जब जाऊंगा, इस देश को छोड़ के जाऊंगा, इस वतन को छोड़ के जाऊंगा, तो इस वतन की थोड़ी सी मिट्टी मेरे कफन में रख दीजिए। सो इस ऐसे देश में हम पैदा हुए दोस्तों। इस देश की हर एक चीज निराली है। आप देखोगे नॉर्थ से लेके तो साउथ तक और ईस्ट से देखोगे तो वेस्ट तक, हर प्रांत निराला, हर भाषा निराली, खान पान निराला, हर चीज अलग है। फिर भी हम वन इंडियन करके रहते हैं, जिसको हम यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी के नाम से जानते हैं, विविधता में एकता का नारा लगाते हैं। तो ऐसे हम देश में पैदा हुए हैं, ये हमारा स्वाभिमान है ये, और इसलिए हम फख्र से कहते हैं कि हम भारतीय हैं। दोस्तों, इस ऐसे प्रोग्राम में हमारे पास एक बहुत बड़े वक्ता भी बोल सकते हैं, हमारे पास आए, वो हमको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में बहुत सारी बातें बताएंगे। विदाउट टेकिंग मच मोर टाइम, इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, आई फिनिश माय 2 words. थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir, for your auspicious words. हर किसी के हित की रक्षा हो, ऐसा विधान है, सबको जोड़कर रखे, ऐसा भारत का संविधान है। हर किसी को संविधान का सम्मान करना चाहिए, सच की जीत हो, अन्याय का दमन होना चाहिए। With this, I request Dr. Dora Thompson ma'am, event coordinator of today's function, to lead the audience with the oath taking of the preamble of the Constitution.
Very beautiful day, my dear colleagues. Let's recall the foundation stone on which our country is built brick by brick. And the foundation stone here is referred to as the preamble, which is written on the first pages of the Constitution. Let us vow today to live by the words we proclaim to be Indians. I request all of you to take your right hand, hold on to the chest, and repeat after me both of the preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved, to constitute India into a sovereign, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November, 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Jai Hind!
लिखा संविधान इतना प्यारा, हर मन को भाया है। आजादी का हर उत्सव हर जन को हर्षाया है। भारत माता का चेहरा फिर आज मुस्कुराया है। Now I request Dr. Bhumika Agrawal ma'am, HOD Humanities, to give introduction of Mr. Vijay Chavekar sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Probably you all must have read today's newspaper. The headline is Submarine INS Vela commissioned into Indian Navy. It's indeed a proud moment for Indian Navy and Coast Guard. And I believe Chavekar sir must be very happy seeing the progress of our country. Friends, isn't it surprising to know that in spite of the fact that 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans and 90% of the world's trade is carried by ship, but hardly 2% youths aspire for careers in maritime and navy and coast guards. No doubt, we are fascinated by the personnel who either work in air or into water, but hardly we think of having careers in these fields. But I consider myself to be quite fortunate that I got an opportunity to read the biodata of none other than Shri Vijay Chavekar sir, who has carved a niche in the field of Indian Coast Guard. Shri Vijay Chavekar sir, he is at present retired Additional Director General of Indian Coast Guard. He has earned many qualifications like MSc, MPhil in Defence and Strategic Studies, a rare qualification, that is PG Diploma in Maritime Law, PG Diploma in Ambedkar Thoughts, and he is also a research scholar in Maritime History, Mumbai University. An experienced sea traveller, he served on board and commanded different class of Coast Guard ships in his 36 years of service. He was a trained pilot by profession. He has considerable flying experience operating Coast Guard dorniers on the eastern and western seaboard of India. He has the distinction of heading the prestigious Coast Guard Western Region and overall Coast Guard functions on the western seaboard of India. A distinguished graduate of Naval Staff College, Newport, USA, he has also participated in the Advanced International Security and Cooperation Program at Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies, Hawaii. Widely travelled, he has represented Indian Coast Guard at various national and international forums on subjects like transnational crimes, maritime disaster response, maritime search and rescue and maritime law enforcement. In recognition of his meritorious services, he was awarded Tatarakshak Medal on Republic Day in the year 2012 and President's Tatarakshak Medal for distinct service on Independence Day in 2014. So I am sure after listening to his wide area of travelling experience, you all must be eager to listen to him. So I request him to share his knowledge and experience with all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Dora Thompson, for that elaborate generous introduction. Dr. Vivek Nanavati, Director Engineering, Dr. S. Dhale, Principal, Dr. G. M. Asudkar, Vice Principal, Dr. Sanjay Jain, Head of Priyadarshini Knowledge Center. I am delighted to be here, and I must thank our Principal Sir for giving me this opportunity to be amongst you for this interactive session. I know the country and world has gone through difficult times of COVID, and we're just recovering, and I think feel like we're in the battle. But I appreciate for being present here in large numbers. Probably the first of the physical presence event after COVID. I would like to particularly thank Dr. Sanjay Jain for sharing with me his ideas and concepts of Knowledge Center, which ignited curiosity in me and finally the visit happened today. And I must say, it was most enriching experience I had while going around the knowledge center. Thanks, Sanjay, for that. Now, knowledge must reveal truth. So let us progress this session consistent with the objectives of Knowledge Center. We already know that today, as Constitution Day, which was earlier called National Law Day, but since 2015 government designated it as a Constitution Day, to be commemorated by reading of preamble and having debate, discussion about the provisions of the Constitution. Now, why read preamble and have debate discussion? Yes, we must know, understand, have a better understanding of the provisions of the Constitution because they are about citizens. I must tell you that it is a fascinating experience, fascinating thing to study and interpret constitutional provisions, particularly the genesis of every article, the genesis of every word in the Constitution, and the intention of the Constitution maker, the thought process that went behind the Constitution. And I'm sure as I speak about, you will expect that you will be inspired by those stories which are there in the making of Constitution. To start with, Constitution is a fundamental law and preamble represents its basic structure. Now, Supreme Court, while articulating this doctrine of basic structure, the preamble represents basic structure, upheld the authority of the Parliament, absolute authority to amend Constitution as long as the basic structure is not altered. Now, all of you have your copy of the preamble in front of you, and this was the preamble which was part of the Constitution adopted in 1949. But we know that the preamble which is there, current preamble of the Constitution, post certain amendments, is different from that. And since I was told that we should make it a little interactive rather than one way, I would like to know what are the words which are not there which we read, the preamble which we read today. So if anybody can tell me, the words which were not there, we should be ideally reading along with the preamble. Well, the word secular and socialist, and one more word, along with unity, integrity. These three words are not there here, but these words were added through a Constitution amendment. Which one? 42nd Amendment in 1976. Okay. So, if we actually, what is the preamble of Indian Constitution as of today? It should go as to constitute India into secular, socialist, sovereign, democratic republic, because the words are in unity and integrity. Anyway, but I am coming to that now point when I said that preamble represents basic structure and Supreme Court has said Parliament can amend Constitution as long as basic structure is not amended. So now how these words are added, because it changes the preamble, isn't it? So it will be valid as long as addition of these words doesn't change the basic structure of the Constitution. How do you know that? How do you know that? What was the intention behind adding the word secular, socialist in the preamble? Well, when any legislation is brought in the Parliament or any constitutional amendment is brought, there is something called a statement of object and reason is circulated, which discloses the purpose and intent, necessity and purpose of that amendment. Okay. So, if we do the internal search, it is possible to get the original version of object and reason of 42nd Amendment. And that object and reason of 42nd Amendment is, what does it say about this inclusion of this word? It says, amendment is proposed to expressly spell out the high ideals of secularism and socialism. So now, amendment is meant to expressly spell out. Now, what is expressly spelled out must be already there. I hope it is not becoming too complicated, because we talked about basic structure doctrine, Constitution, preamble is amended. So I am only saying the preamble is amended, has it affected the basic structure? No, the object and reason is to expressly spell out, which means presumes that the ideals of secularism and socialism are already present in the constitution. If that is true, then there is no impact on the basic structure. But what is already there? Now, what is already there with respect to, let us take the word secularism. You have under liberty, if you look at it, liberty of thought and expression. After that, there is belief, faith and worship. So these are the elements we suppose word secularism. Also, Article 25 of the Constitution, which deals with freedom of religion, guarantees as a fundamental right to profess, practice and propagate religion. Now, this one has to believe, faith and worship and right to profess, practice and propagate religion. Does it exactly capture the meaning secular? Now, does it mean, we don't know, because let's see what is the definition of the word secular, because it has a Western origin, and in the Western concept, the word secular originated with respect to separation of authority of the church and authority of the state. And in the words of Thomas Jefferson, a wall between the state and church. This is the word secular origin. Definitely the amendment was brought not with this kind of meaning, because it doesn't make it relevant. But the word secular is actually used in the Article 25 context. It is used to highlight the authority of the state to regulate freedom of religion with respect to financial, economic, political and other secular activities associated with religious practice. So it says financial, economic, political and other secular activities associated with religion. What it tries to say is that other secular activities are associated with religious practice. This secular is which is not religious. So anything which is not religious, not governed by religious doctrine or gospel is secular. Like we say, the ancient secular text. What is ancient secular text? A text which is not influenced by religion. It is not influenced by religious belief. So it is secular. Now this meaning is clear. Then don't have to define. It is there, but it is unlikely that the Constitution was amended to bring this word secular from Article 25 into preamble. So there are different shades of meaning, but the word secular is there in the after amendment has come in the preamble, but it is not defined. But let's see if we put Google search secular states. The first secular state appears in United States, United States of America, because the First Amendment of the US Constitution prohibits states from US having or making any law to establish religion. That US cannot have a state religion, and it guarantees freedom to believe, faith and worship. These things are guaranteed. But UK doesn't appear in the list of secular states because UK has got Christianity as a state religion. Why I am saying is how the word is differently understood. Recently, just a couple of weeks back, the UK Chancellor of Indian origin, Mr. Rishi Sunak, he said UK is a secular state. He feels UK is a secular state. Because he said, look, we celebrate Christmas. All of us celebrate Christmas. I am Hindu, I don't have to hide my identity. And so it is fine. Everybody respect each other. So it is a secular state. But I can add one more very interesting thing about him, that he's elected in UK from a constituency called Richmond, which has got 97% white Christians. So that is very significant that he didn't hide. So if he wants to feel that his state, UK, is a secular, and he further says that it is more secular than US, where religion pervades much more in their political life. So I'll just try how a country having a state religion also they feel because of such virtues they practice. But I will come to US that first amendment in US which prohibits making state religion is one of the 10 rights under Bill of Rights, and that Bill of Rights influenced our freedom movement and making of constitutional process. We had as early as 1925 Commonwealth of India bill drafted by Mrs. Annie Besant and Tej Bahadur Sabru, which had 8 rights, and one of them was about the freedom of religion. Then came the Karachi Resolution 1931, which came after Purna Swaraj Resolution, whereby which time Congress had taken a clear stand, no dominion status, we want complete freedom. So they had an idea what kind of state we want to create. In that, the Karachi Resolution on Fundamental Rights, again inspired by the US Bill of Rights, clearly says neutrality towards religion. State will have neutrality towards religion. Very similar to the First Amendment of US. However, the big jump happened after Constituent Assembly was formed in December 1946, and the first sitting on 9th December rather. On 13th December, Jawaharlal Nehru introduced Objectives Resolution. It is the beginning of the Constituent Assembly, and he needed the Constituent Assembly to be given principle under which they should function, the guiding principle, framework. So this Objectives Resolution was like that. It did not have the word secular, but it had one very, other than these words of freedom for belief, faith and worship. That neutrality was not there, which was there earlier in Karachi Resolution, but there one more thing which is there. The freedom of religion subject to public order, health and morality, which has come in our Article 25, where it says the freedom of religion subject to public order, health and morality. I think this is a very, very significant aspect of our Constitution, because it puts the Constitution above the religious belief. It says you have freedom of religion in India. You can do whatever you want. Nobody will interfere. Constitution guarantees its fundamental right. But if there is any activity which is in contravention of this line, public order, health and morality, then Constitution, law is above it. I think putting law above, however the sacred the word of the religious text, putting above is a very significant aspect. I don't know whether this aspect is accurately represented in the word secular, but the makers of the Constitution avoided using the word secular but added this. So I feel, now so far I have only spoken about the facts, now I am only giving my opinion, that I feel that it was not omitted, probably they failed. It does not exactly capture the meaning. The sentiments are there given very clearly, but it doesn't capture so probably. But I will tell you one more thing very interesting. In 1978, there was an attempt to define the word secular in the Constitution. Bill was introduced, it was passed in Lok Sabha, and it was defined like this: Republic in which all religions have equal respect. Fine, this also. But still I feel, does this definition also capture the entire thing which I said is talked about? So, probably, what could have been done if they wanted sentiments written in the Constitution on this religious aspect to be reflected in one word, and then one word was chosen as secular, it could have been defined to reflect entire sentiment. Anyway, that's about word secularism coming in the Constitution. Now, let's go about other words which are there. The Objectives Resolution opens with a sentence: to proclaim India into an independent sovereign republic. It starts Objectives Resolution, which was given by Nehru as a guiding principle for the Constitution makers in the beginning of Constituent Assembly. Now the word independent sovereign republic. There is no secularism, there is no socialism, there is no word in democracy also. The members of Constituent Assembly were very concerned about every word coming in the Objective Resolution, because this was to become preamble later on. So there is this question. This question was asked: why this word socialism and democracy not there? Now let us take what happened in discussion. I will tell you about the word democracy. Nehru responded saying he feels India will always be a democratic country. We have rejected monarchy. We can't go anywhere else. So we will be a democracy. And he says, I suppose a republic. We are saying it is going to be a republic. The Indian Republic will be a democracy because it is not monarchy. But in the same discussion he says, and I quote him, he says, however it is conceivable that a republic may not be democratic. And how prophetic, because this was happening in 1946, 1949, you have People's Republic of China. It is a republic, people's. I don't have to say about democracy. So he was right. So obviously this was agreed in the discussion. It is not recorded in that way. The word democracy should be there because republic is there, does not mean it is democracy. So you find finally in the preamble which came in the constitution the word democratic is there. But what happened to the word socialism? It is not omitted, it was discussed. So the question was raised about why the word socialist is or socialism is not there in the objective resolution. And again, because the resolution was cleared by Jawaharlal Nehru, so he responded on that. He says, I stand for socialism. After all, there was great deal of influence of socialist ideas in those times. Revolution in Russia, elsewhere, many places. Then Jawaharlal Nehru had visited Russia in 1927 and he was quite impressed with the socialist model there. He spoke about it. And if you see the 1931, I mentioned that Karachi resolution, it had socialist ideas replied. So much socialist ideas included in the Karachi resolution that it was called Socialist Manifesto. But Nehru was aware about how the transitions had happened in the socialist state, mostly rejecting monarchy and shifting socialist state. It was associated with violence and revolution. Nehru was a Fabian. He believed in gradual change. So therefore he advocated democratic socialism. So now you are interested in ideas, but don't want to be irrevocably tied to the socialist concept or ideology. So if you see how the articles were drafted, Article 39 of the Constitution, prescribing principles of policy to be followed by the state. It says, ownership and control of material resources and their distribution for common good. Operation of economic system that does not permit concentration of wealth and means of production to common detriment. Equal pay for equal work, both for men and women. And so it was proper wholesome social ideas were introduced in that. Also, if you go to Article 38B, which says, state shall strive to minimize inequality in economic status and eliminate inequality in status. So completely, these ideas are brought in. Oh, a very interesting discussion I'll tell you now. That the opening line of the Article 38, state to secure social order for promotion of welfare of the people. Social order. So in the debate, amendment was moved in the Constituent Assembly by social order. It should be socialist order. It was discussed, voted and rejected. Which means the members of the Constituent Assembly were open to the ideas of equality and socialist or pay economic ideas to be introduced in the parliament, but they didn't want to be irrevocably bound to the socialist idea, and that's why the word socialist was not included. So here now I give my opinion that it was not omitted to be added later on in 42nd Amendment. It was Constituent Assembly probably believed to not to have this word in the preamble. That's why they did not agree to include in Article 38 the socialist word. So that's about this two words. Now coming to the word democracy, well, in the opening line, as I said, it was independent sovereign republic, and it was agreed that democracy word should be there as and when the democracy word was added, it was made clear that when you say democracy, it is not just the electoral democracy where people or governments are elected through adult franchise, but it is a social democracy which guarantees one man, one vote and one value. What is the importance of that is, in India, with moral reforms in the early 20s, started the participation of Indians into the government, provincial assemblies and central government of British government. However, those people who were elected, elections were held with limited franchise, including the 1935 elections, so also election to the Constituent Assembly. Limited franchise means only few people could vote based on their education qualification, their economic status, and the wealth. However, what democracy is guaranteed in our constitution is the richest man in India and the poorest citizen both have one vote. That's the democracy word which is done. Coming to the other words which is significant words, sovereignty and republic. The state is sovereign means supreme powers resides within the state. So in 1947 we became independent. However, at that time we were governed by the Government of India Act 1935 and Independence of India Act 1947 passed by British Parliament. To understand this, what happens from change from a dominion status to a sovereign, we become sovereign on that means what? We had Governor General in Mountbatten initially, thereafter C. Rajagopalachari. But on 26 January 1950, as our constitution came into existence, that is after adoption on this day in 1949, sovereign authority was created within India. So, what is that sovereign authority? Article 52 says there shall be a president. So now there is Government of India had authority to appoint president. So Dr. Rajendra Prasad was appointed on 26 January 1950 as president. Because now we were a sovereign state. How the constitution prescribed how president should be elected. That could happen only after first general election in 1952. So in 1952, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was reappointed for 5 years term as per the provisions of the constitution. So that's about what it means by being a sovereign state. And finally coming to republic. Republic means power rests with the supreme authority, supreme power rests with the people. Because it is as against the monarchy. Now, supreme power rests with the people, people elect a government, that is a democracy. So you can mix up with republican economy. But republic means people have chosen to be governed by a rule book. Okay. And the principles to be adopted in that rule book will be decided by the people or their representative on their behalf. So we the people of India, decided what kind of principles we would like to be governed. So their representative in the Constituent Assembly on the behalf of the people drafted the constitution, adopted, enacted, and last line says given to the people. So that is the republic, that on the behalf of the people, a rule book was created on the behalf and given to the people. That's the idea of the republic. Finally, there is one word and one expression rather, which is there and also not there in the preamble. The members of Constituent Assembly felt that the opening line, "We the people of India," will be replaced by "We the people of Indian nation." Why? Because they said India is broken up into the princely state for so many years, and under British Empire there is so much of autonomy and separate identity that we need to infuse that national identity and sense of nationhood, Indianness. So we must start with "We the people of Indian nation." Now, Indian nation expression has a unitary reference, unitary meaning, one people. And Dr. Ambedkar thought that with so much of social division and inequality, we are not truly a nation in psychological terms. And he emphasized fraternity, that is feeling of brotherhood. I can tell you the liberty and equality are covered by the fundamental rights and guaranteed by fundamental rights. But fraternity, what is the word before fraternity? To promote amongst all. Because fraternity cannot be legislated. It has to be promoted. And therefore, and also, see the importance of the word fraternity. The unity and integrity appears next to fraternity. That's why, so Ambedkar suggested that yes, we are an ancient nation. We have a history of thousands of years. We pride our great past. But still, to remind ourselves that there is so much inequality and division which we have to remove, and we have to bring in the fraternity, feeling of one people, Indian as one people and brotherhood. we leave that word outside so that we are reminded of that and keep that as an ideal to be reached. Nation as an ideal to be reached. So that is how the expression Indian nation was not included and started with the people. Thank you very much for your patience. I didn't want to make it too long or complicated, but once again I would like to thank that having got over the phobia of COVID and you have dared to come together today for the physical event, the first of its kind probably. Thank you for that and thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your auspicious words. भारत देश का जो संविधान है हर भारतवासी का अभिमान है With this, I request Dr. Roman Jankandu sir to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all present over here. The sense of all beautiful art is gratitude. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is just like packing a bundle of gifts and not giving it away. I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion of Constitution Day organized by Priyadarshini College of Engineering, Nagpur. I convey my regards and hearty thanks to our chief guest, Mr. Vijay Chafekar, Additional Director General, Indian Coast Guard, for accepting our invitation and sparing his precious time from his busy schedule. Sir, we promise you that we will follow the path shown by you. I would also like to thank today's guest of honor, Dr. Vivek Nagoti sir, Director Engineering, LTJSS, Nagpur, for enlightening us with his precious words and valuable guidance. I would like to extend my gratitude to our distinguished principal sir, Dr. S. Dhale sir, for his expertise and encouragement to organize such programs. I am happy to express my gratitude to Dr. G.M. Asutkar, Vice Principal PC, for his gracious presence. I also extend my thanks to Dr. Sanjay Jain sir, Head Priyadarshini Center, for his gracious presence. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Dora Thompson Madam, Associate Dean, Digital Content Development and Event Coordinator, for her enormous cooperation and planning in the organization of this event. I would also like to thank Dr. Bhumika Agarwal Madam, HOD Humanities, for introducing the chief guest. I must extend the biggest gratitude to all the deans, associate deans, HODs of various departments, teaching and non-teaching faculty members, and the amazing NSS cadets of PC. Last but not the least, I would like to thank Ms. Khushbu Bajpayee for anchoring this program. I would like to end my vote of thanks with a grand applause for everyone present here for making this program a success. Thank you.